your characters are special. They've been through a binding event, which allows them to work together and not collapse the fate-time continuum. Don't ask about that. Following an event called the Binding. Their group is called the Weave. More on the Binding in a bit. We have playbooks here. The good news is the playbooks do not have to match those of your divine parent. If you want to play, for example, a child of Loki, you do not need to be the trickster. You get to make your own character and make them their own thing. You do have some ancestry, and that will sort of color like what you can do, but it does not define who you are. So for character creation, we're going to walk through the playbooks. We're not going to do that right at this moment. I'm just going to keep reading, but just bear in mind that you have a lot of room to kind of come up with something original. That said, a lot of room to come up with something original also means choice paralysis. So we're all going to kind of be here to help each other pick something and make it fun. Yep. There's 5 attributes, as you would expect. They are basically fighting ability, how well you work under pressure, impressiveness, perception and awareness, and aptitude for manipulating the supernatural world. Notably, attributes go from -2 to +4, not +3. The bonus cap is still +4, so no 2d6 rolls ever going to go above 4, but you don't cap out at +3. The only other thing I want to talk about, and this is maybe a little important, is gifts. Gifts are items or aspects that enhance your abilities and can be juiced up with the Bend Fate basic move when needed. If you've looked at any of the playbooks, you'll see that they have some gifts on there. Gifts are not moves. However, this is the important part. There are specific moves that interact with specific gifts. So when you are selecting your gifts or your moves, keep in mind that they do kind of relate to each other, and maybe you'll make a choice with that in mind. Cool. The XP system in this game is called threads. Everyone gets a thread anytime they roll doubles on the dice, or when they do something truly epic. Doubles can be any pair of numbers, even if you fail. There's no limit to how many times you can get this. And then finally, your playbook has 4 unique hooks. Each one of these can earn you a thread once per game session. Theoretically, you can get all 4 every session. Read these aloud kind of in the first session, just so everybody knows what you're being bribed to do, and kind of let that encourage you to take action. The other thing is that you can spend threads either to reduce incoming harm, add a significant detail to a scene, kind of like spending a fate point, or spend a thread to give yourself what's called Fate's Favor, which means you're going to roll effectively like in Fellowship with Hope. That is, roll 3 dice and you take the best 2. You take 7 harm and you're dead. Fortunately, death is not the end. It means that your buddies have a week to go to the underworld and rescue your ass.
Nice.
So that's that.
That's fabulous.
So at that point, we're going to take a look at playbooks. And while you're looking at playbooks, I'm going to read through the section on tangles and the binding. And the binding is something that happened, some inciting event that got your group together. This is about a year before the story picks up, so you've had plenty of time to kind of build relationships since then and have adventures and do interesting stuff. Your tangles start at 1. These are basically bonds with other characters. Everybody should know how that shit works. But we're going to answer some questions about the thing, and I'm going to jot down notes and kind of collect the answers on this. So at this point, does anyone have any early questions or anything that we're unclear about?
I'm good.
Nope.
Yep.
All right. What kind of playbooks were people looking for, or do we want to do the group activity first?
Sorry, what was the group activity?
This is where you're coming up with this event called the Binding, which is why your group is together. This is the old man in the tavern with the map.
I'd rather figure out the characters first, and then because that's going to color how we came together.
Okay.
I was going to say that exact same thing, except swap all the nouns to the other way around. I want to see what the thing is, so I can figure out like what characters would make sense. But I can go either way. I don't care. It's all
Okay.
good. I'm flexible.
So there is a list of playbooks in the post that I linked earlier. Hopefully we took a look at that. And I think some people already kind of expressed some interest in some of those playbooks. And if anybody has not looked that list over, now is a good time for that. And I will drop a link to that into the OneShots room. And then the Quick Start has the actual playbooks, of course, as well.
Sorry.
Demigods. There we go.
So is there any that anybody is like feeling super strong on?
Making notes.
I don't know super strong, but I had a concept, and I think the Reaper is the one that fits it best. But as I told Dave earlier today, that doesn't mean that's the only way that I could work that character.
Well, tell us about the concept then.
So the concept is that the demigod is sort of from the Japanese Shinto religion with a touch of ancestor worship thrown in, and so a lot of ties to the past, ties to people who have passed on. In terms of like why I think it goes well with the Reaper. What really spoke to me on the Reaper playbook was that balance between death and celebration, and the idea that by either by giving the character something, or by the character giving you something, you can tie that into healing and to luck and to other things, which really kind of fits with a lot of the ancestor worship, Shinto, worshiping of kami, etc. So I thought it kind of tied in really nicely with that idea.
Yeah, that does sound good, and I think you're dead on with that, so to speak.
Yeah, actually, it was funny because we went through everything, and I sort of was the last in the family to get the start on it, and in the end, trying to kind of put them together, I decided that if you look at the way that they gain threads, it really, to me, was sort of like, oh, okay, I want to play a character where throwing a party and making a morbid comment are both equally important, and so for me, and I was actually like in my final deciding, I was going through the books, less about the moves, but more about sort of like, well, to me, that's sort of like what the concept of that character is.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys haven't decided, that was one suggestion I'd have for you guys.
Yeah. So the threads for the Reaper for everybody else's benefit are save a life, throw a party, make morbid remarks, and ease someone's suffering. And I don't know if you saw Pixar's movie Coco, but I definitely get kind of a similar vibe.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and when you talk about ancestor worship, there's a lot of commonalities across multiple religions. in terms of veneration and how you celebrate a person's death, or how you celebrate your ancestors on a specific day, and like the whole in Coco, where you have the photos or the images of the deceased, and how that ties totally into the whole story there. On the a lot of times on the Japanese Shinto Buddhism, it's very similar. You have images of people as part of your veneration.
Yep. All right, that sounds really good. And have you looked at moves or gifts yet?
I have not gotten that far yet. I mean, I've started looking at it, but I haven't made a decision yet. I was just working on a name, because that's most important, right?
Clearly. All right. Do other people have early ideas? I saw some posts on playbooks in order of interest. Does anybody have either concepts or anything they want to talk about from that list?
So I had originally put Reaper as my first choice, but my write-up that I did for that was much less interesting than what Margie was doing. So I actually kind of pivoted over to a concept for a muse character, who's kind of a wastrel, a charmer who simply fits in as everyone's friend, goes from party to party, has fun. His epic instrument is his voice, but he doesn't cut any albums himself. He just is always the guy who gets invited in as a guest voice on people's albums and stuff like that. Kind of does this balance between supporting others and enjoying himself.
Probably most likely to be after the word featuring.
Yes, yes. Special guest star, which is great to. Go ahead.
I like that you would just follow Margie's Reaper around and just be like the toast of every wake in town. You just.
Oh yeah. Because I'm going to take the turn it up move to go with any parties that she's throwing.
We put the fun in funeral. Don't actually do that. This sounds really good. Did you have a particular mythology or
yeah, I was going to be. I'm actually the offspring of Athena, who is terribly disappointed in my lifestyle for not doing anything serious or leaderly or wise or warlike, or bringing glory to anything. So often gives me assignments to try to make me be better. Whereas I sort of consider, that whole family to be, very kind of self-righteous and dominating in a way that I find actually cautionary. So, yeah, I'm kind of everybody's friend, and I gain threads by throwing parties, seducing people, taking the spotlight, or urging people to greatness. But I try to not do that in a skeevy fashion. So, because I can see what happens, I can see just looking at that part of my family as to where that leads to.
I will say the Greek pantheon, if you look at it as a family, is a very big, old money, screwed up family.
Oh, yes. So they're a great counterexample to the corruptibility of power. So that kind of helps keep me from being a less savory character than I potentially could be.
I feel like you're the black sheep of the Kardashians of Olympus.
Sure, I'm happy to take that role. That said, my kind of the gifts and my moves are all kind of around that. Fitting in, having good parties, living an easy life. Probably there's some character there's some character room to grow there. into something that's a little more positive of a force. But at the moment, that's kind of where I see the character being.
Okay. That sounds really good. Who else has what else?
I'm gonna let somebody else go while I have a sneezing attack.
I have the barest amount of stuff, just based on playbooks I like, and a deific parent that I am amused by.
Go for it.
All right. So the parent that I wanted to do is the Slavic god Triglav. It is a three-headed person who also might be just three people. So my character has three dads.
Oh, that's screwed up.
Oh no! Because,
My three dads.
Yeah, there's a children's book there somewhere.
Because the three heads of Triglav is supposed to be three separate gods who look over the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. Savrog, Perun, and Dashbog. And so, just reading through here, I was just like, all right, Perun is the fun dad, Dashbog's the mean dad, but Skagrok gives the best advice. Also, they are gods of what is it? Gods of oath making and divination. So I wanted to go with the arcane one because I kind of feel like with the three dads, they kind of get a grab bag of abilities.
That sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading up on this, and this sounds like it sound. I'm not going to say like a gay poly marriage, but I feel like I almost want to play it that way. There's just
Oh no, I'm perfectly fine with that. I mean,
that was my immediate response. I'm like, hey, gay poly.
No.
Right.
I was like, no, play that up. I am perfectly fine with that.
sounds good.
Oh, and also because we have to get some of the mythology slightly wrong, but kind of close. So apparently, associated with Triglav is a golden horned ibex named Golden Horn.
Of course, you know.
Yeah. So I saw the whole. You might have been informed by one of their messengers. Feel like I talked to I feel like I might talk to the ibex more than I talk to dads.
That's fair. How done with their shit is the ibex though?
Oh, I imagine that the ibex is like super into that whole. Oh, I cannot stand to be around them. They are either at each other's throats or super lovey-dovey, and there is no in between.
That is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 3 down, 3 to go. Two more characters and the binding.
James.
Lovely. I didn't have. I kind of went fishing and found Enki, the Sumerian god of water, knowledge, mischief, crafts, and creation. So, kind of ticking off a whole bunch of boxes.
He's the Swiss Army knife of Sumerian gods.
Well, he's not one of the eldest, but he's related to creation, so obviously there's going to be a lot of stuff under his jurisdiction. And kind of working with that, and was thinking of the warrior playbook, or maybe the trickster.
Okay.
Fun.
So, having read Snow Crash, which got into a lot of Sumerian mythology at a very shallow level, that's fine.
You probably know more
My
than-
impression of Enki was always like he was basically the world's first hacker. He was the mythology hacker. Now that may be different. Your Enki will probably be different, but I just want to let you know where I'm coming from.
My Enki needs a little bit more research done into Sumerian myth.
I'm trying to remember where I know Enki from some book, and it wasn't Snow Crash.
Well, for me, what I found was his grandfather or something is a different god called Abzu, which is kind of the water. But I played a really, really beautiful console game titled Abzu after him, and
I've got that game as well. Yeah.
that so good. Anyway,
All right. And do you have your personal Demigods portfolio figured out, like what you're kind of doing? It sounds like either warrior or trickster. Are those two different things, or are you looking for? Do you have like a single concept and you're seeing where it lands?
I had a bit more of a single concept that has shifted some to be more warrior, so I think that's what I'm going with.
Okay. All right. And is there anything you want to? Can you elaborate on, like how is this character a warrior, or what do they fight for? What's kind of their shtick?
Of course, you're asking.
You can punt. I mean, Boyce has been avoiding this question all evening. You just be like, hey, Boyce.
I don't know. I am taken with the idea of kind of focus on family and kind of making sure people stay, or people are all right, taking care of them. Also, one of my gifts is going to be Epic Steed. And my steed is going to be a pair of Heelys.
Nice.
Yeah. The shoes with wheels
my God.
on wheels. So
Nice.
catch me just rolling into battle. That's it.
All
That's
right.
what I got, is just the Heelys.
That's fine. That's a good start. All right, Boyce.
All right. I am looking at the elemental as a child of Ruamoko, who's the Maori god of earthquakes, volcanoes, and seasons. Kind of inspired by the art that they had up for the elemental in the first place, but also I'm not doing water. I'm obviously, given Dad, I'm looking at earth as a sort of the earth being the element that looking at, and kind of based on a character that I've toyed with off and on. But so definitely
So you're kind of counter scripting against Dad's influence.
Well, no, Dad is still earthquakes, volcanoes, seasons, so I'm kind of going with the earth part of it. I mean, earthquakes and volcanoes. It's of the sort of parental tier of the Maori pantheon. I feel like that's the one that's most likely to have a Earth child poking around. Here, I'll just link. Where's Discord? Nope, that's not what I wanted. Where's my Discord? So, Rumoko. You can back out of that to the Pantheon and stuff like that. So, like I said, kind of going Earth. I had a chance. I'm looking more at the background than I am at the actual like advancements, gifts, stuff like that at this point. But I will figure that out here in just a little bit.
Okay.
I've got kind of a general idea for the guy. I think I've got his like a picture that would work for him too somewhere, but I can't find it. And he doesn't have any Maori tattoos on him from the art that I had previously. I'm not finding any good examples of that really that I love. So gonna kind of have to imagine that part for now. I do like where it starts with the character that they have in the book though, so it's cool. They're in the quick start. So yeah, that's the general idea is Maori, kind of volcano dad, earth seasons, a lot of volatile stuff in there, and somebody who's kind of more at home with their element than they are generally speaking with people for all that they may try. Like James, I think could have gone elemental or warrior. Although James wasn't looking at elemental, but
Yeah, it was on my list of top 3.
sure, yeah. Kind of going either way, but I am very okay with elemental. Certainly the baseline character that I'm thinking of that I've toyed with in the past, definitely elemental in nature. So I will go that way. Thank you, Bill, for mentioning that this was sort of, I was kind of getting a little bit stuck, and by saying it was a sort of a American Gods and a touch of mass got me thinking, well, wait a second, what about some of my Supers characters that might work in this? And I found I had one with a mythic origin that just sockets right in.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good like superhero concepts that can kind of be backported to like a mythological origin, even if they didn't start as one.
Yeah.
This game is very, very forgiving about hey, I'm the descendant of this god, but I'm going to take it in a whole new direction, so that's fine.
Very cool.
Yep. Now we have come to the binding. And I'm going to read this section again. And we're going to kind of talk about what people think is interesting. And the themes that I'm getting out of this, as I took notes, are there's a lot of concepts of parties, wakes, entertainment, advice. There's recurring themes of the earth and the underworld here. Kind of earth, water, underworld, I guess I should say. And I almost want to say that a group like this feels like it could be set in like Hawaii or somewhere on the Pacific Rim or somewhere like that, somewhere between earth and water. Now you folks will decide that for yourselves, but that's just kind of the theme that I'm getting.
Works for me.
So you want time to explain how your formerly loner demigods developed interesting tangles now that they can work together. Go through these questions and fill in the blanks. And I'll be taking notes here, and anybody else who wants to take notes can take notes, and we will see what happens. You don't need to play out the scene. You're just narrating what happened last year. Try to make sure everyone at the table gets a chance to contribute to these answers. And the questions are your spindle, which is your group, and this thing that your group centers around, a person, a place, or a thing, faced a supernatural disaster. It could be a monster, it could be an evil demigod, but we saved it. What did we save it from? So example spindles would be like the landlady at the apartment you're all at, the local karaoke and restaurant place that you hang out at. It could be the judge who all got you out of juvenile hall. It could be the statue of Lenin down in Fremont. It could be a lot of different things that are, but it's always going to be some focal point around which your group centers. So we're also going to talk about what is that spindle, and then we're going to talk about what was the disaster that faced it, or him, or her, or them.
Well, when you say that, the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about potentially someplace like Hawaii and having someone Earth-based would be, some kind of volcanic event that was,
Not supposed to be happening,
yeah,
as opposed to the ones that are supposed to be happening.
exactly.
Works for me.
Okay. So there was some kind of volcanic eruption, or something like, a volcano erupted when nobody predicted it.
Excuse me.
Just
Volcano erupted at someone's behest. If we're talking a supernatural sort of thing that we ended up having to interfere with, or we interfered with successfully to.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to that, which was not supposed to happen. Like, at least I feel like my guy would at least have some sort of line on, at least in that area, and with that domain, I feel like I would have gotten the heads up, or at least it would, but it felt wrong. Like, this is foreign influence kind of a thing that would be like, whatever's happening here this is not the order of things, or the way things are supposed to be shaken out. Possibly. That's a possible. Throwing that out there.
Okay. Well, that's super real, because in 2018, exactly that happened.
I love it. That's really good.
And there's some relevant pictures in Discord for y'all.
I am 100% behind that.
And here's one guy who cannot possibly give less of a shit.
No.
Sorry, is that supposed to be in Discord?
In the
OneShots.
OneShots channel, not the general.
Got it. That would make more sense.
No way do I get that close to anything, because crusts crack. I don't care who you are. Crust crack.
It's got to be super hot there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like, melting your tennies hot.
That's a good way to lose your foot and your knee and possibly all things.
I do like the one above it, though, because it just sort of gives you that image of just, that
I'm a big
inner...
lava flow, and I go as I please.
Well, that sort of interface between, nature and man, and just, wow, there's a lava flow someplace where there's a road and light posts and, things like that.
Yeah.
Not off someplace where no one is.
The illusion of our civilization has just been overlaid with a very significant reality. It just snowed where I am, so I'm kind of getting that from the other side. Like, there used to be terrain out here. There used to be road signs, and there used to be markers on the road to tell you which lane was which, and there used to be, bumps and details and flowers and things like that growing on the side of the road. Nope, it's just all textured white now. So that's a thing. Right. So there was a volcanic eruption that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, love it.
What is it that was endangered? Or who was it that was endangered?
I was going to say, what about maybe a sacred site? Yeah, because...
Sacred site to whom? Or sacred to whom? Site.
Well, that's the question. Because the way that I interpret this is that, there are, even though there's many pantheons, that there is that recognition that there are many pantheons, if that makes sense. And, and therefore, if, I'm just wondering if some god called in a favor. you know, to have us come
Ooh.
and help, you know, what was going on, because they didn't have any demigods, or their demigods, you know, were somehow.
Well, that ties into a later question in the survey, but
Yeah, let's answer that part of that question right now. We earned the favor of a major divine being. Who was it, and why did they want to save the spindle? So we may not have who was it yet, but maybe somebody does have an name. And I will point out that Hawaii does have a lot of different cultures, being like literally an island where a bunch of people have met up. There are Shinto shrines, for example, on the islands, and there's a lot of holy sites to other places as well, including the indigenous Hawaiian traditions.
Yep. Well, in a lot of the Polynesian, you know, there's a lot of overlap.
so
There's a
deity associated with the Hawaiian Islands, and whether we were there, by character, either inadvertently or that's where we actually live, whatever. Basically, it was an all hands on deck, solve this problem, and we managed to do so, and thereby impressed or earned the favor of this particular divine being.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm going to murder the pronunciation on that, but I'll throw that up there as a possibility because it's an interesting spot in that it's very close to one another, two different sacred monuments, kind of near each other. Maybe one making a play against the other, or something like that. So that's fun. I haven't done any image searches for that location or anything like that, but Pelicane Beach is pretty. I mean, in and of itself, it's not particularly.
Sacramento, Hawaii's shark god.
Right?
There's actually multiple Hawaiian shark gods.
Yeah.
I have like the Hawaiian, you know, gods and goddesses list up, and I'm kind of going down and like, oh wait, here's another shark god.
Yeah. The one of the pictures that's associated with Pukohola is a picture of somebody's sandals with freaking thorns driven through the bottom. That somebody stepped on it thinking it was no big deal, and the thorns from the branches and stuff are like right through the bottom of the sandals. It's kind of noteworthy. Yeah, that's a neat picture. So yeah, that's one thought. Just I like the confluence of multiple deities having a thing going on right there. It's kind of fun.
Okay. I will note that down. All right, so there's a volcanic event which is not supposed to happen. God called in a favor to help. Do we have a specific one? Like we had talked about a few. Did we have any favorites that came out of that, or do we want to say like a collection of interested parties?
Actually, I think it would be interesting if it was a. Well, I don't know.
Kind of a
Actually,
I don't know.
Well, that's one question. How did this come about? Was this an attack by someone on someone? If there's multiple deities invested in the particular location, was it a matter of one of them trying to push the others out, or do multiple of them get together, but only one of them is really pleased by the way we handled it?
And on one hand, maybe we were asked to help on the other hand, maybe we just interfered, and in the end of it, like sort of unknowingly ended up siding with one versus another. So we're like, we're very grateful to you. Cool. And somebody else is super angry with us, and we're like, oh, because we didn't really know at the time.
There's a version of this where you are all individually asked to do something about it, and you all just got together and said, "No, we should team up." And literally, none of your patrons were happy with this except for one.
I like that.
This is after the farce of all of us running into each other and going, or with mistaken identity and just shenanigans occur until
I do like
we
the.
somehow get together.
Can we do we recognize each other as demigods off the bat, or is that?
Oh yeah. There's no question.
So
I like it.
My
So-
guy has
so-
gold eyes.
One of the incarnations of Ku the war god is Ku, snatcher of land,
I mean,
which I like.
Ooh,
it's hard to think of a better like play for territory than I'm gonna roll lava over it. I mean,
so if Ku was looking to take over the location, in other words, remove any competition for who this location is designed or meant to be for, then it may be that we ended up getting the favor of the shark god, whichever shark god is involved.
Well, and that actually fits in well with my background because my divine parent is Ibishu, who has a very interesting backstory, but basically he is often associated with the water and with, and more importantly, megafauna megafauna and things like whales and sharks and things like that are kind of associated with him, as well as his main gig, which is around prosperity, which is kind of weird because he was born without any bones, but that's another story.
gods are weird.
So,
Yeah, it's he is sort of in that like godling thrown out by his parents goes on to make good.
see, for mine, I figure I could make this work no matter what it is, because it could just be like, my guy shows up with one of his dads and is just like, "Son, how long has it been?" 2 years. Oh, yeah. Wait, what month is it?
Is that a long time?
July? What day? The 13th? Oh, crap. Look, I owe a favor to the shark god. At 2 p.m., something's going to happen down there. It's going to be really bad. I was supposed to tell him 6 months ago. Go down there and go figure that out for me. Bye, son. Nice seeing you.
Call me.
And Athena has an affinity. She's not a war god. She's not a war goddess in the way that Ares is the god of war, but she has aspects of being war commander, war leader, and so forth. So there may have been some professional jealousy in keeping a war god from expanding their influence.
Excuse me.
Elsewhere in the world, which is why I got an early morning phone call in the Hawaiian resort hotel that I was staying in. Compliments of the major pop star who's recording a video on the beach later that day.
All right.
I might cut out for a second. I gotta go down to the printer, which is several floors away from my Bluetooth, but I'll be back.
All right, so the gist of what I've got is pasted into the OneShots channel, and I think that answers a few of the questions.
I love Ku Snatcher of Land, by the way. That's perfect.
Like that's just a bad title. I'm not going to say like it's a lousy title. I'm going to say like if your worshippers are calling you, "Oh, great snatcher of land," you're going to be like, guys.
But you know, the thing about the gods is that you can have gods and deities who don't necessarily have like dedicated worshippers. Like, oh yes, I am the follower of Ku. It's sort of like, yeah, Ku gets called in when it's convenient to have Ku working on your side. Hey, we want to invade this island. Let's put a sacrifice up for Ku.
And then you want him to
Go away
quickly
afterwards.
leave after.
Then you want him to go away afterwards, yes.
Okay.
So
He's not the kind of god who you just, build many shrines to, unless you're really trying to.
Nice to see you. Now off your pop.
So what you're saying is he's Wreck-It Ralph. That's what I'm hearing. It's like
Yeah.
the game would be over without him, but he's not going to be invited to the party.
That's fair.
Okay.
And
So-
he's not happy about it.
So Ku was unsatisfied with the current state of affairs and was like, what would be really awesome is if these other gods didn't have these sacred sites hanging around. It'd be really great is if people remembered that this is a volcano. And so Ku goes and butters Pele up. And I was like, hey, it'd be great. An eruption. And Pele's like, it has been a while. And all the mortals on the island are like, hey, it'd be great is no eruptions. And Ku's like, yeah, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
So a bunch of gods have most recently, and I'm going to throw some real world politics in here for a second. The idea of who gets to occupy Hawaii always has been, and still currently is, let's be fair, a dicey issue. I have my own opinions, and I'm sure other people have their opinions, but it has kind of been a volatile question. They basically got shanghaied into stateship or statehood in the United States, and there are people who still disagree with that to the day. I feel like the gods kind of have a similar thing going on where like a bunch of people showed up on this island, a bunch of gods showed up on this island, and everybody has like this really fragile truce of don't start nothing, won't be nothing. And then Ku drops a bomb on all that. Does that sound okay? How does that sound?
I like it. Territorial disputes above and below.
Awesome. So multiple gods were like, we got to get a group together. Hey, you guys, or we got to solve this. Hey, each of you demigod children, you're vacationing in Hawaii, you're going, doing performing, you're doing whatever. Go solve it, and I'll give you a bunch of stuff. Just go do whatever you're going to do. And you all got together and were like, you know what? We're going to do it our way. So there was substantial collateral damage. What was destroyed, and how did we make it look less supernatural in nature?
Is there a major resort in the area of?
I mean, it's a big island, so
There was.
There can be.
There was.
it's a big island. It's kind of all. I mean, there's a lot of resort to go around.
Well,
I feel like haven't you guys been? Like, can't you speak with some authority on this? Or am I
not on the
imagining-
big island.
Not on the big
We've been on.
I've been on Kauai,
Hawaii.
and Maui.
Hey, Boyce.
Yes, sir.
What's your elemental character's name?
Crap. Excellent question. Game loading, please wait.
All right. Well,
No.
Anyway,
Kamaka.
so
So
it would look really suspicious if there was like this this beeline of lava right out to, where Ku wants to take over all of his stuff. So could it be that like after the fact you kind of rose up some earth to make it look like there was a natural little funnel hidden there?
Yeah, like sank a valley, kind of laid a valley in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have found what I think is probably the perfect place. The Coco Palms Resort, a resort hotel on
I love the
Kauai
name.
that was noted for its Hollywood connections, Hawaiian-themed weddings, torch lighting, and so forth, and destruction by a hurricane.
Yeah.
Actually, my parents stayed there on their honeymoon.
Nice. Here's where it ties in, and long-standing land disputes. The land is on or near.
Yeah, that's why it's like it's a mess right now, because of the disputes as to. Yeah,
basically got wiped out by the hurricane. It's like, so who owns it? Who's going to redevelop it? Who's going to rebuild it? In the meantime, it just sits there and decays. Yeah.
Okay. So do we want to say that maybe like somebody conjured up a hurricane or something along those lines to put out some fires or blockade? Like the earth, like raising up the earth thing is good too, but it's a question of like, which natural disaster do you want to take the blame for?
I
don't mind the hurricane. It may have been that we were calling up water to defeat the, to defeat the other, and got a little bit out of hand.
I like that.
All right.
I was toying with, and this is just me throwing this out here because I'm gonna have to solicit input from the group. I was toying with one of my gifts being master another element, like having two. So that might be some aspect of that. I don't know. Or maybe I haven't.
There's where it is on the. There's where it is on the.
Earth and water, earth and fire.
Earth and air. I was thinking because Dad's got storms or seasons in there.
Makes perfect sense.
Because but I don't know if master. I to talk about how that works because maybe being able to do it but not being able to master it is maybe because again hurricane. So
you can be the Nova. It's fine. You're good.
I like it.
All right. We impressed a divine being. I think we talked about some options there. Did we come down on one particular option? Like if you guys say the shark gods, I tell you right now that what's going to happen is that there was a hurricane and Sharknado happened.
Oh god.
And so they're going to go down.
I am at least 75% that behind that option.
I mean, Sharknado is.
There could also be like an option with some electric eels or maybe jellyfish, but Sharknado is good.
I'm all in favor of that.
God damn it! You called my bluff.
You can't scare us off.
I'm still waiting for a way to get the kaiju in.
I mean, we
are in Hawaii.
You can double down on the Sharknado thing because if any of the normals actually say that they saw something like that, everyone will think that they're crazy because of Sharknado.
Oh my god.
Yes.
What's
okay? So there's an image in the OneShots room. Jesus.
Oh dear.
And that came from the source.
Speed.
Shark Gods of Hawaii. I like that the website's called Ocean Syrup. Nobody doubles down like gods double down.
Do we want to say Kane Coco, the rescuer?
Works for me.
All right.
Although, I mean, the one right under it, where it's the hero of the Great Shark War. I mean,
That's
That's a
that's
nice
an
one too.
epitaph right there.
I'll go for that. Yeah.
Known as a friend of man, he and his 4 shark companions were well known to travel the Hawaiian Islands. He has animal companions.
I mean,
Nice.
Now the question is, does the giant shark god count as a possible kaiju?
Yes.
The answer is always yes. We're gods. I mean,
It's 55 meters long.
That sounds good.
over
trying to
10
find a good
times
picture
the
of Dad
size
for
of
you
the
guys.
average megalodon.
Suffice to say, it's a good thing this guy was on the side of the humans during the Great Shark War.
I just am fascinated by the idea of the Great Shark War.
says yes to me.
I'm just going to say that the Honest Trailers guys did the Aquaman movie, and for those who don't know, there was a very, very large creature in that movie, and the person who voiced that very, very large creature played Mary Poppins. And
Nice.
the Honest Trailers guy fucking nailed it by dubbing this role Kai Julie Andrews.
That's fantastic. Kai Julie Andrews.
Kai Julie.
So there you go. There's a lot going on in Hawaii, is what I mean. All right, and finally, I think we kind of answered this question, which was why was our spindle targeted for this? And it sounded like there was a lot of stuff going on. The idea that I kind of pitched was it was a symbol of mortal and divine unification, and Ku wasn't feeling that. But if people think that something else would be more interesting, I want to hear it.
I think that sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The only other thing that's come to mind is just like the whole right place, right time sort of thing.
That sounds like fate.
That does sound like fate.
So I put a picture of Dad up.
He does look like a day over 300.
I have caught a fish. Or 2.
That's a red snapper,
Very tasty.
a symbol of good fortune, and fishermen, and all sorts of other things.
He has a train station.
He's the yes.
Looks fishy to me.
Oh God.
You knew that was coming.
I mean, yes. He said. Defeated.
That's fair. All right. How are we coming along with character creation, or have we started?
Poking away at it.
Alright.
I have my character sheet written up in Google Docs in case anyone else is wanting to type theirs up and are looking for a format.
That's what I've started.
Um,
Or I copied what I had into one. I will post it on the thingamaboober.
Unfortunately, I've been writing mine with pencil in my printout.
Oh, that's perfectly all right.
I'll get it up there.
It's a perfectly valid option.
Doing a very poor man's double-sided here because I can't get the printer to print double-sided. So I can scribble.
Yeah, my husband had some double-sided problems.
It was the PDF. It wasn't me.
I mean, say what you like. Okay. So since we're in a quick start, I don't imagine there's much more depth to this. The master another element, what does that likely entail?
Now let's take a look.
There's a lot of
It's
stuff
one of
here.
your gifts.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that the assumption there, it depends on how you take it. Like, you just don't have the other elements unless you say so.
Yeah, so the way that I read it is you are going to pick an element
Yeah,
at character creation, and it literally tells you in the introduction.
yeah.
Pick an element to control, like air, earth, fire, water, or something else. You cannot be injured by an element you've mastered and can manipulate it in basic ways. So that comes automatically.
Gotcha.
Now, you've got individual moves like Avatar of Destruction. You can wreath yourself in your element, but the collateral damage is a constant danger and so forth. You have public relations. When using your element to intimidate someone, take +1 to sway. There's a bunch of stuff that says your element. So when you take this advance of master another element,
Gotcha.
everywhere that says your element now includes 2 things.
Yep.
That's the way that I'm interpreting it.
Yep, I'm down with that. Hmm.
Old river shoulders.
They don't really discuss the gifts other than it's really kind of narrative interpretation. Feels like.
It's the gifts are basically like load from Blades in the Dark or Scum and Villainy. It's permission to do fictional things that would involve that gift.
Gotcha.
That said, as mentioned earlier, there are specific gifts that interact with specific moves.
Gotcha.
But there's some that don't. So, for example, underneath the muse, there's Ring of Binding.
Yeah. So an example would be looking at the elemental list. Avatar of Destruction interacts with Epic Armor. Cataclysm interacts with Epic Shield. Rub some dirt on it interacts with Produce Element. Rush in interacts with Epic Steed. Swipe left interacts with Epic Weapon. And the Herald's cheat sheet has, I think, one of the greatest innovations of all time, which is like, here's just all the playbooks, here's all their moves, here's all their gifts, and you can just check off which your players have taken.
That is such a nice feature right there.
What is your weave? It says bring your weave safely through your element. What is your
That's
weave?
your party.
Okay. That's what I thought in context, but I wanted to make sure.
Oh, that's what that meant. I had only saw that on my arcane sheets. I was just like, oh, the magical weave or something like that. So now,
See, I read the introduction, so I knew what the weave was.
well, that just makes my death move that much weirder.
It kind of is weird, but the arcane actually has a really move. Like if you got killed, you basically got turned into like an unbreakable radio system. So there you go.
Your
Yeah,
conscious
as
is
opposed to my death move, which is just basically, I'm still physically present with the group. I can't leave your presence. In fact, I must remain with one of you at all times while I'm dead.
My favorite is the trickster death move, which you're basically a poltergeist, where you can do. Sometimes your actions can be construed as helpful, but always annoying to someone.
Yep.
Tie shoelaces together. Swing the door the wrong way.
I'm picturing Margie being dead and be like, I have to be with one of you. Have you met you people?
Exactly.
Jesus.
All right, who's taking me to the dead man's party?
Leave your party at the door.
Exactly.
Yeah, if there's other questions or other terms that have jumped out at folks, let me know, and I'll try to answer those.
I have the safe passage, which is what I was asking about. Which I like it in that I find it amusing, but if people are already going to be able to move around pretty easily.
I do not have an easy move power, unless I take
just have
like
my
animal
wheelies.
power.
You just have your what,
Yeah.
James?
My
your
Heelys.
Heelys.
His
Yeah.
Heelys.
Everybody has the opportunity to take like an epic steed.
Yeah.
True, but I mean,
and the Reaper has the ability to take the power to go to any underworld.
Yeah, you guys are so mobile. I can't even tell you. Safe
Convenient.
passage probably could take you anywhere on Earth.
Yeah, especially if I'm an Earth guy.
well, yeah.
like-
There's a couple. The Verdant has one.
I have one.
Dexter has one.
Yeah, I think there's like half of them have a group travel power.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine doesn't have one specifically, but I can kind of make my way anywhere I want with the moves that I'm taking.
Yeah, and the best thing is if you have any kind of gift that you think might be applicable, you could say, "I'm going to bend fate and try to make this gift work for this thing," and
Yeah.
we'll see how that works out.
Oh, excuse me.
There's a lot of that going around. You're fine. Been a very long day for a lot of people I know.
See, I didn't have a long day. I just had a day where I couldn't focus on anything. So I felt completely useless.
Oh.
This guy's going to feel a little bit like an earthbender. I am totally okay with that.
Yeah. that
Yeah,
sounds
that's
good.
kind of the playbook.
As long as he's
As
not
long as it's
crazy.
not a slow motion earthbender.
Did you hear what my husband and son did?
No?
It was
I
all,
left
it
the
was all
room.
James's fault. It was all James's fault.
Hey, you agreed.
Oh no, blame
Only
is
to be
being
polite.
thrown.
You agreed.
We-
We watched the live action Last
no.
Airbender movie.
Oh no.
Yes, I left the room.
I was really hoping that it would be like so horrible that you could laugh at it, and said it was so horrible that it just made me angry all over again.
No.
Right? My speakers cut out during what you were explaining. I didn't hear a thing, and so I can still be your friend.
They hated it. They hated it, so that makes it okay, I think.
No,
All right,
they watched the whole thing, so that makes me question their sanity.
What sanity?
There was a certain amount of bonding involved in terms
Is-
of like stopping frequently and pulling our respective hair out.
Was this some kind of like test of courage among men thing? Was that what you were doing?
Yeah, it was kind of this macho. Yeah, I'll bet you I can watch 15 minutes of Last Airbender.
Oh my god.
Go fish.
Jesus.
No, thank you.
So,
If I had a son that I showed that to, he'd disown me. Okay, just
Well, we already watched it before, so and like I
Oh,
said,
really?
James was the one that suggested it.
so
We saw it in the frickin' theater.
What? Oh. Oh,
I
I
don't know why.
I know what your excuse is going to be. Like, we were young, we didn't know any better.
I
were
was
young.
young and didn't know any better.
I'd enjoyed M. Night Shyamalan movies before that.
So, because I went to animation school and film was part of, like, film study is part of that, we would purposely watch horrible movies in order to try and backfill our own, like, why were these particular creative decisions made?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It can definitely give you an appreciation for a bad movie.
Or pity.
I mean, it can make you be like, how the hell did they waste that much money? But, you know, like, if you go into it and you're like, oh, this film was made on, like, $5 million. These guys did amazing given the amount of money they had.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
especially
opposed to
given what they had to have
Waterworld.
paid the actors. This was made on like $250 million. I don't see that.
How they
I don't
did
see
that?
a quarter of that money being spent on this, unless it went into somebody's pocket.
No, it was the fact that they left themselves open for a sequel to
Well,
the
yeah.
movie. And what was really amusing was looking through like the IMDb trivia page. One of the things was the announcement of the Netflix live action Airbender effectively ended any hopes for a sequel to M. Night Shyamalan's. And, you know, I think the movie itself ended any hopes for a sequel.
That's fair.
I feel like you
Just-
could almost have said it ended M. Night Shyamalan. Is just we never heard from him again. It was just
Except you did.
Unfortunately, no.
why? Why did we hear from him again? No, that doesn't work for me.
Okay, so I've got my stuff figured out, my moves and my gifts.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is close enough. That's not what I wanted to do at all. There we go. Collateral damage isn't just a philosophy, it's a way of life.
I that was one of the lines from that book that I thought was perfect.
Yeah. All right. Kamaka, which means something like stone. I will have lost my notes by this point already. It's pretty close to where I want it to be. Rock means rock. I'm not sure what the informed by pantheon feels. Mortal parents. Ooh, mortal parents. That's a good one.
Informed by, I think, was did your divine parent come to you and say, "You are my child,"
Oh.
or did you get a letter in the mail saying, "By the way, you are the child of this person"?
Which owl told you you were going to Hogwarts?
Gotcha. Pantheon feels.
How do you feel about your Pantheon? Do you
Oh.
like it? Are you
So it
shopping
feels.
around for a different?
It feels with a capital F. I gotcha. My feels. I know them feels. These are the feels I have about my pantheon.
Uh-oh. That was weird.
What's up?
Oh, my monitor just flickered.
Ascendance move. Do I have to worry about any of these little check boxes under the ascendance move? The permanent.
That is your moment of truth
Gotcha.
equivalent.
Okay.
And when that happens, you become a non-player character. Like you basically have like a few shots at doing a moment of truth style thing, but then you become a god.
Yeah,
and then,
once you've done it 3 times, it's gotcha.
The fate says that you have too much godliness to human ratio.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So Kamaka, I did epic armor. I leave that as an exercise for the viewer as well, what that's going to look like when I'm using earth powers. Epic weapon, because of course I can make a gigantic fucking stone hammer. Because I played City of Heroes, and I will, by God, have a gigantic stone hammer.
Better in this game than there.
Hey, I have played a stone tank to great effect many times in that game.
Tank is one thing, but it's when you're trying to do it as like a brute or anything
Yeah,
more
that's fair.
offensive.
Type
It's
weapon.
just so slow.
Yeah, they're a lot more fun in DC Universe Online. I've done a big, like, the two-handed weapon guy with earth powers over there, and it works. You can throw them and they come back. It's quite entertaining. So yeah, epic weapon, and then produce element because earthbender. I went with a mix of offense and defense, or rather offense and support. Bill mentioned swipe left, and since I have epic weapon, it seemed idiotic not to take it. Also, highly entertaining. Collateral damage isn't just a philosophy, it's a way of life. Flinging small groups of enemies out of the way just sounds like good Thor-like fun to me. Rush in for sprinting at enemies and causing significant collateral damage. But also rub some dirt on it, because, I mean, if you're the Earth guy, one of the first online multiplayer games I ever played was a MUD called Forest Edge. And there was a dude in there, a dwarf named Stare, spelled not like the stare that you do, but it is what he did, because his eyes were like super big because he lived underground all the time. He was a dwarf priest that frequently like healed you by rubbing dirt in your wounds. So yeah, rub some dirt on it, on the injury, and then tell him to walk it off. So little healing power. And that's kind of until I get to tangles. I got to hear about everybody else before I start filling out the tangles, I think. Now, didn't you say tangles were like XP, but these also look like just bonds?
They're bonds.
No, threads are XP. Tangles
Threads are
are
XP. Gotcha.
bonds.
I will drop some terminology in here.
Thank you. I mean, you gave us the quick start. I'm sure it's in the quick start, and I'm just terrible. But
Well, the quick start is still 4 whole
pages.
pages, and sometimes you just want this on.
Yeah. I got 6 tangles. Do I need to fill out all the tangles in that some people will show up more than once, or do I just stop once I've got enough people?
So I'll read that section from Quick Start for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
This is where you describe your relationships your characters have built since the binding. Characters at the start of the campaign have probably only known each other for a year or so. Fill these in with the names of other demigods in your group. Try to make sure everyone has at least one for each other player, and optionally one for the spindle. Make sure the other player agrees to the tangle you're putting them into, because it might not fit their character idea. If you're using the spindle, make sure the herald and your group is cool with the tangle you picked. And then all tangles start at a value of 1.
Gotcha.
What was the spindle again?
Yeah, because I thought
Spindle's the group.
I thought the weave was the group.
No, I'm about to edit this thing.
The weave is putting the group together. The spindle is the group, right? Or is it the other way around?
Or the spindle is the thing that brings the weave together. That would, from a analogy angle,
there we go.
Better. Wait.
All right.
Are things coming up? I need to go back and look at my screen. I'm wandering around.
Yes.
About to cough. 1 second.
Thank you.
And if there's other terms, I will add them to this list.
Your home base / mascot.
And if anybody with admin on this channel feels like pinning the basic moves, the stuff that I posted early on, and that would be wonderful.
I should have that kind of power, but I won't make that. Basic moves. How far back up, or am I going all the way?
To the very top,
There we go.
all the way at the top.
Pin. Oh yeah, pin it. Pin it good.
So that's the one thing I haven't done is the tangles, but I don't have most people's names yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't we go through and talk a little bit about each other first before we get to the tangle,
And I will
and
now
maybe what our
take
role was in the binding.
I will take this opportunity to drop this link in here, which is the notes on the characters that I have so far. And if anybody fills in some detail that I missed, I will update this post.
Damien Fairchild.
Yes.
You right.
That is the perfect name for a muse. Like,
Thank you.
thumbs up, like perfectly behind it.
Lex Rhodes.
Yeah, Romoko's the volatile stuff. I'm maybe less volatile, although I need to get that art, but then like the Maori stuff in there. Anyway.
I don't know. You could, make a paper doll with that out of on City of Heroes.
Oh, that is that. No, that's DCU, dude. Pummel Site. That's Pummel Site, which I made up on City of Heroes for a long time.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, they have the tats as one of the
Oh yeah.
arm things.
Cool. Flip around with it. I bet you can probably have in DCU too. I should open it up and see if I can get them in there.
My player name is Haruki, Haruki.
All right.
And it's actually more, let me go right. Hey, Rookie. And a rather androgynous average teen.
Nice. And I actually just converted that post into a wiki so people can edit directly if they need.
Lovely.
Oh, good.
I don't know how it's going to resolve editing conflicts, so be judicious.
So informed by, is that sort of like, known, a known popular character that you kind of.
That's
No,
how I
it's-
read
it's-
it, but that's how I read it. But
It's literally. Did your parent come down and say hi?
Oh, right. We
I
went through
am
this
your
already.
father.
Okay, never
Yeah.
mind.
Like, how did you find out? Was it something you found out the good
Right.
way, or was it something you found out the bad way?
Okay.
Oh, you already put that in there. Never mind.
whoever is currently editing, would you grab the picture that Bill put in there and just drop it underneath the Boyce is playing the elemental thing?
Oh, sorry, I put it above.
Yeah, it's fine. I just figured I'd make it a little bit clearer that it's not the picture of James's guy. Can we do just for once? I'm still torn about this actually on my own, so that's not helpful. But can we put pronouns?
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
I'm not. Some of the names aren't immediately indicative, and I don't know if it would necessarily mean anything anyway. Lex is a little bit easier.
So
Ebisu,
I'm
less so.
Heruki. My pronouns are he and him.
Okay. Because Surya, I'm looking at going, I have no idea.
Yeah, that was on purpose.
And I'm not, yeah. Well, I'm not going to do non-binary if you were going to do non-binary, so I might have to change my.
No,
move,
I
but-
was doing gender fluid. More
Cool. Cool.
fluidness.
Well, yeah, I specifically had to. I tell you what, when you're constricting yourself to one language, looking for a unisex name, and you want it to be something Earth themed, you've limited yourself a fair amount. I'm pretty goddamn happy I was still able to find something.
Not a lot of those names crossing over into the women.
No, well, there aren't a lot of, for whatever reason, at least the site I'm on, there isn't a lot of female Maori names, but they are ones that are unisex. And one of them means rock, so I'll
There you
take
go.
it. I'll take it. Not that this guy doesn't present as male, certainly, but I got to work on that part.
Presentation is different from identity.
Exactly, yeah.
There's a Washington posted this really interesting article around. I'm trying to remember. It's not gender neutral because that's not quite the right word for it, but it's basically, designing clothes that don't necessarily follow gender confirmation or conformity. And the head
Excuse me.
lead photo on it is this, fairly well built guy kind of sitting down with his elbow on one knee in this really cool kind of cotton sort of a dress thing, and it's sort of one of these things where it's like, wow, that really just portrays the whole image right there.
I like it.
Nice. All right. Are there other details or anything else that people, any terms I think we were looking for, or does the terminology list kind of cover it?
No, I thought that was good. It's good for me anyway.
Okay. So I've got my hard stop in about 24 minutes, but I think that's probably more than enough time to get through Tangles
Very cool.
if we feel ready for that.
I'm ready.
All right.
For those looking for non-binary fashion.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually just going to generally tweet this out because I think there are people who are interested in this on Twitter as well. So thank you for that.
It's kind of cool. So.
I miss. Oh, I like that. That's good stuff.
For God's sake.
All right. So Tangles. Do we want to go in a particular order, or anybody feel like starting off? I will make people go alphabetically if need be.
I had a few.
Oh no. So I have some that'll probably be just like some of these make some sense. But so let's say the first one is blank doesn't get what you do, but at least they're pretty.
That's awesome.
And oh poop! I closed it. So I can't get names right. And I feel like I don't know. Damien, that sounds like it fits you just a bit.
But I don't get to what you do.
At least you're pretty.
Let's say you have a grudging respect for Blink's skill. And I think the most grudging respect would probably be for, let's see. Yeah. I'm probably going to say this wrong. Surya? Surya?
Yeah.
Surya.
Surya Avadi.
Because yeah, they're a warrior. You know, I imagine there's at least a little bit of like brute force involved in there. So let's see. You fought the supernatural shoulder to soldier with Blank, and you trust them explicitly. Yeah, we'll go ahead and say Kamaka. How does that sound for you?
Which one? Say it again. Sorry.
You fought the supernatural shoulder to shoulder with Kamaka, and you trust them explicitly.
I dig it. I dig it. That ties into some stuff I was going to do with you too. So
let's see. Your pride has kept you from telling Blank your true feelings. Anybody wanna volunteer for that one?
I'm sorry, can you say that one again?
Your pride has kept you from telling Blank your true feelings.
Doesn't have to be romantic love. It could be any feelings.
No,
like,
no,
I
it's-
fucking hate you.
If anyone wants to have
me.
some, yeah, if anyone wants some, some secret feelings about them, speak up.
I'll take that.
Okay.
I am the son of the laughing god,
that's
so
going to actually kind of.
Well, the next one I definitely had in mind for Haruki, which is Haruki knows the dark secret you keep locked away. I mean, how does that not fit? And then, does anyone want to volunteer for you accidentally injured Blank with your magic, but they don't know it was your fault?
I think it should be. I'm volunteering for that. As
Okay.
part of the stood shoulder to shoulder thing, like somewhere in there, I took friendly fire.
Took a blast of fire to the back, and
Well,
you're like,
I don't know if it was legitimately, like actually literally fire, but yeah, the whole friendly fire situation.
oh no, the arcane, it was fire.
It was fire. Gotcha.
All right. All of those are now on my sheet in my thing.
And what I love is that the elemental has the reverse. You can accidentally injure X with your element. I would love it if both of those things happened.
I was actually thinking about that. But like that, like I feel really bad about it, and he's like, no, it's fine, because for him, the scales are totally balanced because he knows that he smacked me too, but I don't know that, so I feel like I owe him. it's good stuff there.
Is there someone who feels more impulsive?
I think that's
In
probably.
what way?
I was going to say probably Damien,
find-
but
You find Blank's impulsiveness to be off-putting.
That's
I mean,
fine. Are you going next, Saran?
Nah, I was just
filling in some gaps.
asking.
I mean,
Brainstorming.
speaking as the outsider, I would point at Damien, but as the not Damien person, I'm pointing at Damien the same way Margie is. But
well, I have one that's a natural, so I'll throw it in there right now because it's fun. So one of my tangles is you and Blank have thrown some epic parties together. So I think my man Damien and I have probably.
yeah.
I'm worried about how quickly everybody's jumping to have Damien in.
Well, you're
for the obvious.
Well, you say that you're a wastrel. That just sort of conjures up a certain impression.
I'm not denying what you're saying. I'm just saying it's disturbing that there have now been 3 people leading off with Damien tangles.
My first one is for Damien also, so it all ties in.
All I'm saying is you create a particular mental image.
Okay. I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody else is kind of like, does this kind of fit? Does it kind of fit?
And
then Damien's just like, I know that guy.
And let's just be real that partnering with The Rock, I kind of worry about what the morning after looks like.
Yeah.
Collateral damage is just a thing.
Until you knew Kamaka, you didn't actually know what the actual literal Webster's definition of detritus was, and now you do.
I'm sorry, Joyce. You were going to give a tangle.
I can run. I have one I left blank because I'm a coward, but you're fascinated with Damien Fairchild's charismatic way of people. That's kind of a gimme almost. I'm going to say that Haruki's manner is a complete mystery to me. This is a person who is much more at home with my element than, and possibly animals, than with people. So any kind of people who
deal with people
are like, truly, your ways are mysterious. You accidentally, 2 for Lex. You accidentally injured Lex Rhodes with your element, and you rely on Lex Rhodes to be your element whisperer, clarifying for you when you're not making sense. This is really a moment very near and dear to my heart because throughout their New Year's, family went out to Disney World for New Year's, and my wife came down with, as you can kind of hear in my throat, came down with what I am kicking right now. So
I heard it was a whole typhoid test room in there.
You know, it was just the 2 of us. Kaylee had something. Kaylee had something else.
I thought the kids brought it.
No. Kate had to go to the East Coast. She went to the East Coast for a pre-Christmas thing with the family. Got it from her sister. Came back with it. Had it all the way through, and I thought she was past it. So there was finally a New Year's kiss. That was a bad idea. That has brought me down. She has gone through it now. Over the course of 2 weeks, has gone from completely no voice to Katharine Hepburn, Katharine. Shoot, who's the one?
Hello, I'm not really bad. I'm just drawn that way.
The one from or Jewel of the Nile.
Lauren Bacall.
No, God, you know what I'm talking. The Jewel of the Nile. What's her name?
Kathleen Turner.
Kathleen, yeah, she's gone.
Oh,
yeah.
I can't talk. To Kathleen Turner, to Scarlett Johansson, circa the Ultron movie, to Abby Kadabi from Sesame Street is where she's at now. Getting back to her regular voice. But the whole idea of needing a whisperer to kind of translate, that was Kaylee all the way through the entire trip, because my wife couldn't talk. I can't flip in here, and we were in the middle of like the crowds at Disney. So there was a lot of sign language being like semaphores going from Kate to Kaylee to me as we're trying to wrangle people through the crowds and stuff. So Lex Rhodes is translator. You've tussled with Surya Abadi and respect their abilities. I'm gonna pass on you had a fling with blank, but we're confused when things got complicated afterwards. Because I just don't have a good take on it yet.
So I will say that I've got one of my tangles,
Mhm.
and I don't know, this doesn't have to be the same thing, is you slept with blank, but there's no real emotion there. So there's a complementary aspect to it, but I wasn't necessarily thinking Kanaka for that.
Kamaka.
Yeah, I will also note that the X card is in play, and if people think that
Yeah, by all means.
any themes that we hear are just not their thing, just all you got to do is say so.
Absolutely.
I had been thinking about Surya because of the whole tussle, sparring partner kind of thing too. But again, X card in play, and also comfort levels.
Well, I was wondering also, because I think they put that in all of them, which makes it kind of a little bit forced and
Yeah.
kind of a little bit.
Well, we don't have enough.
Shit, what was it? Anyways, but I'm wondering if you can't replace that with, I slept with a friend of so and so, to get that same sort of link and oddness, or just, something that defines your relationship different from just a working relationship.
So, two things. One, James was going to say something. I want to make sure he does. B, if I'm doing this wrong, I was also kind of thinking about keeping that in my back pocket, or putting it, actually sidling over and putting it in Bill's back pocket for a relationship with an NPC that he wants to hit me over the head with. Where I've got some sort of complicated relationship with somebody that we maybe don't have the best relationship with as a weave. But James was going to say something.
I was just going to say that one of my tangles I had been thinking of was, you had to fling with Kamaka after a harrowing battle. Are you hoping for a rematch?
Interesting. I mean, if you're down for that, I am totally down for that. Because it's all complicated, right? I am. Table's open.
I will note just parenthetically that we are talking about creatures of myth, and
Yes.
in general,
Basically.
rules don't apply.
It's like,
Hey, Zeus.
But again,
I'll pretty much.
X cards are always available. I'm just saying that
X
it's
cards
not.
are always available, but I mean, mythic creatures are like.
Hey, you make a really sexy swan.
I'll hook up with anything that moves. I'll hook up with anything that moves, and rocks can move with my power. So come on.
Yeah, no. One of the things with Enki, my dad, is going back to kind of one of the myths of creation was, and he had sex with this goddess, and then wasn't around for the childbirth, and while Lair was lonely and ended up having sex with his daughter, and this goes on for 4 generations.
Hey, that looks good. I'll have some of that.
I'm like,
it's like screwing a mirror at some
think
point, right?
At that point in time, Enki has established that he definitely has a type. And,
And
then-
that type is him.
I was going to say that type is half his DNA, at least.
The family tree is a bamboo pole. It just goes.
It may curve, it may wind, but the main bowl of the thing is definitely consistent.
That said, if Kamaka does not have a romantic relationship with someone and then say, "Did the Earth move for you?" You're fired.
Oh my
Okay?
God.
So I will say, yeah, NPCs are a possibility. I will also say the spindle is a possibility. The fact that it is a place Doesn't really matter because you can
Full
say
of rocks.
you can
Go
say
back
there's
to further previous comments on the subject. Okay.
Did you
before
get your rocks off?
before you
Oh,
reprobates get too
David.
weird. I'm just going to say there can be things like spirits of earth or,
Sure.
for example, representatives of gods that might count for that. So I'm going to leave that there, and y'all can decide what you're going to do.
Yeah, I think there's some thinking that. Well, we need to figure out what the spindle is.
Okay. Well, we kind of did, which is like we had mentioned, like there was this sacred site. But
Okay.
you could also say it was a person involved with the sacred site. I'm okay with that too. And in fact, I am going to convert this second thing, the binding, also to a wiki post. So all three of these posts that are up now, which is your PCs, the spindle and the binding, and the tangles, are all editable by anybody. So edit judiciously, but change whatever you want.
The Coco Palms
Cool.
result. The Coco Palms result is just about the most cliche name for anything I can possibly imagine.
Like, I kind of like the idea that you folks just hang out at the resort, and there's like this magical extension of it where you can like go in and kind of have your clubhouse thing. But that's another story.
I like that.
So I've got about 6 minutes to go. It did snow, which means I probably need to go a little early just so I have time to get the car warmed up and things like that. But I feel like the only things that people really have left are the tangles, and you don't need me for that. The posts are all editable. If anybody has any questions, put them in Discord. I will come back and attend to them when I can.
Sounds good.
Go ahead.
I'm going to leave a question mark around the I had a fling thing because your thing with the spindle is very curious, but I also like the idea that I'm also very socketed into the idea that Surya and Kamaka were thinking the same direction on that, which I kind of like.
Yeah,
So,
and if you folks rephrase fling to be something unique in kind of itself, I'm okay with that too. Like,
Yep.
The weekend bender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I like that.
My
I think like you're under arrest
there used to be a seventh
the
island.
non-couple goes off on the motorcycle ride,
Yeah.
My God.
or anybody going off with going off on an adventure in Avatar with
Zuko.
shoot.
Zuko.
Yes.
Zuko. Life-changing
Zuko.
adventure.
Yes.
It's
Isn't it my
turn.
turn to have a life changing experience?
That's rough, buddy. Anyway.
There you go. All right. I'm going to bail. Keep doing your thing,
Okay.
and have fun with this, and I will come back
Thank
and
you,
see
sir.
That's good
what
stuff.
disaster you all have wrought.
Thanks, Bill.
So I actually have filled in a couple of other threads, and I will put an open question out there. So I've got one each for everybody. I have one that I may hold off on, but I have one that if somebody wants it,
I will edit the wiki as you were saying these things.
I was going
so.
to ask, so if
Go
somebody
ahead.
was going to edit it. So.
okay, because I have
I
mine.
will do that. Well, no, I know you're writing it down, but it's on the wiki,
Okay.
so I will, as it is agreed to, I will put it in there.
Okay. Do you want me to list the ones I already have, and then we'll do it that way. So I actually escorted one of Surya, one of the warriors.
Surya.
Yes, family members to their afterlife.
Cool.
So we will need to get together and decide who and whether that was a good thing or a bad thing in our relationship. Also, I bartered with another Reaper for Lex's life and won. And I get to describe how you died that time. I like the implication here, Mike, that
There's multiple deaths involved.
yeah, it's not just like,
One of my dads is effectively a god of the underworld. I mean,
so what you?
And he's always tried to invite you home. You never come home for Thanksgiving. Maybe this year. I've made arrangements.
that is just horrible. Just to think of like, oh yeah. I got struck by lightning just so I could go see Dad. It's like, Dad, you didn't need to do this.
Really? Really?
You could have just, there's this thing called email. You could have just invited me down.
I've offered to set up instant messaging on your Yes, I've offered to set up your computer too. Yes.
FaceTime is a thing, Dad. Come on.
We have an IBIX for these sort of communications.
No, it's only awesome if it's like a little I, capital B. It's like the app.
Oh, I
Ibex.
love
I,
I,
capital
capital B.
Ibex. Anyway,
Nice.
that's awesome. Anyway,
So I like the idea that one of the times you actually really didn't want to go visit your dad, and so I got you out of it.
Thank you so much.
And
instead of rescuing you from death, you're just rescuing from like a family commitment. It's like, no, just I need you to be my
Not
plus one and
now.
get me out of here.
I'm in the middle of something, Dad.
That's awesome.
So I like the idea of doing that, and I if you have a particular way you want to die, let me know. But I think that would be hysterical. That it wasn't so much that I saved you; it's more that I just saved you.
Like you didn't actually save him from dying. You just rerouted him to your underworld.
Right.
Were you not struck by
Send him
lightning?
to-
I sent a strike by lightning. Yeah, it's just really weird. The signal.
I ended up in this party in New York. I don't know how it happened.
It's the wildest thing. That's
Son, I talked to Peyroon. He was going to hit you with lightning. Did you not get his message? Yes, Dad, I got his message.
The message came through loud and clear.
And then I was in a Shinto temple on the top of the skyscraper in Manhattan. It was the weirdest thing. That shouldn't have happened. Damn it.
Flash! Lex was sent a message.
Dad, all of these family reunions go the exact same way. You fall asleep halfway through, and then I have to let myself out.
That happened
And
one
then
time. We were
back out.
That happened
So
the one
I-
time we were watching Dr. Zhivago. That doesn't happen every time. Anyway.
I do appreciate that Svartrog literally is a sleeping god who dreamed creation into being.
I like it.
It's awesome.
That's I think that's perfect. I love the tangle for that, because it implies so much more than just
Yeah. How much we
saving
unpacked from
somebody's
that
life.
Yeah. How much we unpacked from one tangle. That's awesome.
Hold on 1 second.
That's very interesting too. So apparently,
Excuse me.
in Slavic mythology, the realm of the gods and the realm of the dead are the exact same place.
Nice.
And
Sure.
what's really interesting is that in Japanese mythology, Shintoism, even into Buddhism, you don't actually have a concept of the underworld until you get influences from Western cultures.
Interesting.
It was just sort of
Here.
yeah, it wasn't and now the interpretation is there's an underworld, and then what people would call heaven was always sort of just identified as the realm of the gods prior to that. So evolution of religion is very fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, we talked about the party, the epic parties, the epic parties that some
Epic
people
parties.
remember. Some people remember.
I certainly remember them.
Mm-hmm. Just keep telling yourself
I've
that.
written songs about them.
Yes, I've had to work to ban those particular radio stations from my hearing. And Kamaka,
Yes.
you ignored one of my premonitions, and you have the scars to prove it.
That tracks.
And
That's on brand.
what I see this is it probably goes back to when you first started using air versus just earth. And I made some suggestions about how that might not go well since they're opposites.
I think I didn't actually take the elemental mastery, but I do like the idea of me accidentally calling on and or influencing other elements. So yeah, that tracks. And Dave, since you're in edit mode, I'll simply say that it's like had something to do, you know, if you put something in there about had something to do with him fiddling with elements outside of Earth.
Yep. And you know, I'm sure that my recommendation was something like, don't you want to start something a little closer to Earth, like water or
fire, like lava? Volcanoes are right here.
and
then you realize you were suggesting, like, so there's a moment, some of you guys know Verge, one of my oldest friends, when I started to date his next oldest sister in college, which is a terrible idea. And he knew it was a terrible idea and tried to talk me out of it. But halfway through the thing, the speech in which he was trying to talk me out of it, not so subtly, he realized that he was in the middle of an explanation of, he was comparing her to his other sister, and he realized that what he was doing, the only way that sentence could end was that he was telling me to wait until his 15-year-old sister got to college and then date her instead. And he just dropped the sentence full stop at that point, and I went on my merry way to my first and shortest lived of all marriages, which we now describe as dating, but with more paperwork at the end. And I can only imagine that there was a point during your thing where you were saying, like, maybe don't mess with air, where you realized that the only way to end that sentence was to tell me to fuck with a volcano instead, where you just dropped the sentence entirely and said, you know what? However this ends for you, you go ahead and do you, but I'm not going to tell you to instead go dip your hands into a volcano because that will affect more people. So kind of the same thing.
I saw the potential for damage. Okay, and the last tangle that I have up for grabs. I had a vision of Blank's death. Described how, but not where or when. Anyone want to know how they die?
Sure.
How you die at least once.
And Lex, you don't count.
It sounds like I have an express pass, so
You have the frequent dyer card.
3 more punches and I get a Sunday.
In hell? That's pretty impressive.
It's not hell. Dad just keeps his forge there.
All right, and I'm reserving one for later. Having to do with romantic intent.
I'm sorry. So who did we end up with vision of death?
You.
Okay.
You volunteered.
I did. I just wanted to make sure it had registered.
You won that battle.
Since I'm next on the list, I will go ahead and I didn't have strong feelings for most of these, so I will simply offer the, I'll go through and say who I had penciled in, and if people have a different idea, I'm happy to change it around. So the first is that X would be a hit at parties if they just listened to your advice. And I was going to say Soraya, largely because as a warrior, I kind of imagine you've got a more serious attitude towards things. And you just need to kind of like, lighten up, man.
All right, Surya.
Surya?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one on the list is the you've slept with X, but there's no real emotion there. I don't have a particular candidate there, and that can be left for other connections or reserved for later or whatever.
Backfill.
Backfill unless someone's got an idea of
Dirty.
something that would fit there. X knows about a thing I did that one time, and I was going to say Haruki.
I mean, you guys seem to have a lot of history of really
Haruki has
poor-
all the secrets.
Well, and
she knows where all the bird. They know
And
where all the bodies are buried.
well, and the death. I know since I looked through the Reaper card extensively. I know that there's stuff there that fits into that.
Yeah, so one of my moves is called What Has Been, and it allows me to basically determine someone's guilt on a specific matter or their deepest regret. And I don't
know whether you're taking that or not yet.
I am.
Okay, well there
and
you go.
I have the gift that goes with it.
Ah,
Bought that and the shoes to match.
there you go. The next one is X's cynical outlook is exhausting for you. And my original thought there had been Kamaka. I don't have a sense yet as to who may have a cynical attitude. It may be that that's a good fit for Lex if I don't get what
me.
Lex does.
Could it be me?
It sounds like he's begging. Could it be?
It's not
Sure.
begging. I'm just saying,
No,
I can imagine how. Oh yeah, no. This is the thing. This is the way things are. How do you know? I can see the future.
There you go. Okay. So that's a nice compliment with the I don't get what you do.
Mm.
So, the next was I learned about X's crush on someone. I'm encouraging them to follow up on it. And I was actually going to do that one with Lex as well because of that whole, your pride has kept you from telling Haruki your true feelings, depending on how you're interpreting that. But if someone else has a better fit for that, I would be happy to.
I was going to say, go for it.
Okay.
No. We can misconstrue this as a crush.
Oh, we can misconstrue everything.
Yeah, Damien sees Lex acting kind of weird towards Haruki, and is then making oh haha like nudge nudge wink wink.
And then the last one is X is your best friend and keeps you level when you're full of yourself. And in the interest of spreading it out and kind of complementing what was already put in, I was going to say Kamaka in there. Since Kamaka's got this fascination with my charismatic way with people, I could see a complement there that helps that fit together, or at least where Damien interprets that as a kind of a friendship or someone who sees how he.
I love the idea of like you coming over and like just venting about all the drama in your life, and just go and like meanwhile I'm like, like carving a tree trunk or making a surfboard or something, and I just occasionally like, yeah, you should. Mm-hmm. That's it's like that's crazy. But voice completely monotone, but yeah, that's crazy. And how you interpret that as being like Yeah, he totally.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you letting me bounce this off. You're great, man.
Cool.
You're such a great listener.
He walks away, and I'm just like looking at him like I don't understand anything that happens in that guy's life at all.
That boy is so weird.
No, I love it. That's great.
Okay, so those are mine. Who are we left with? I think
Me.
you.
Bum bum bum.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Exciting. So I have X has real combat experience that I admire. And I was thinking Kamaka.
Cool. I dig it.
Okay. You find Damien's impulsiveness to be off-putting.
You're so cynical. I just don't understand.
No, Lex is the cynical one.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Lex is cynical. You know, you'd be at the head of parties if you were more impulsive.
You have a friendly rivalry with X, always trying to one-up each other. I was thinking Lex.
Okay.
I thought that kind of went with the grudging respect for my skill.
No, I can get behind that.
Okay. And I had the you had to fling with Kamaka after a harrowing battle. Are you hoping for a rematch? If you're still good with that. Boyce?
Are we doing
yes.
the fling thing?
Yeah, sorry. I was looking at a different thing. Yes, absolutely. Down with that.
Okay, let me take out the lineouts there, and I will
Well,
change.
it may not necessarily change mine, but definitely both things. It can be pointed in separate directions and still all be true. So I'm good either way. So
Well,
line out
do you want
Surya
to
for
say line-
sure. Take the line out of Surya
Yeah,
for sure.
I've done that.
Leave mine lined out for now because I'm still.
I'll leave yours lined out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
And I didn't really have a thought for this next one. You've never actually seen X fight. Can you trust them? Because I don't really have a good feel, and I'm fine just leaving that for.
And you could put that for me because it may have been that you've never seen me actually fight, that you've seen me use other powers that are not what you would consider fighting.
Okay, if you want.
Because, terrifying people may not be what you consider fighting.
One of the moves is actually intimidation. Not one that I took, but it is there. And then for the last one, you feel yourself drawn to X. Why? I was thinking Haruki. Because your godly parent Ebisu is the fisherman, and I have some of the water.
Cool.
So an elemental affinity. So I think that is everybody's entries, aside from the ones that are being reserved for later. And I've saved that if anybody wants to refresh and take a look at that particular entry, and feel free to update things as they feel need updating.
I'm image searching now, so don't take my silence as anything other than total distraction.
Yeah, I also went on a image searching
Well, I put an image for Damien.
I like Damien's. That's a
which
good one.
it wasn't what I'd originally intended, but it's hard to find decent ponytails on models these days.
I like that
Most of them are kind of the kind of scruffy man bunny sort of things.
I
like
like
that.
I like how he looks like he's on a beach in Hawaii, but like
That would actually yeah,
but at the same time sort of dressed like Mr.
not
Howell.
comfortably. He's not sort of comfortable with being on a beach.
He looks like the East Coast preppy, gone to Hawaii, thinking he looks, appropriate.
Yeah, the locals would probably laugh and scoff at him until they have a chance to chat with him, and then he's just so charming.
And then they try and get him to wear flip-flops.
I can wear flip flops.
Annoyingly,
They're nice and
true.
they're nice and comfortable and easy.
Did you take the move?
Oh yes.
You always rock the.
Huh?
You just woke up like this.
No, I haven't taken that one yet.
No, there's a move. The move that's like you always have the right thing. You're always wearing the right thing.
Yeah, it's.
You totally fit.
Oh, here it is. It's the short skirt, long jacket. You can slice through red tape, blending into nearly any social environment.
And you can also make cake references.
What?
All right, I'm pulling up the song.
Oh no, I got it. I'm good.
It's like
I
you lived through the mid 2000s. You should have heard this song at least once.
Oh, Dave, did you share that? The poster that you shared with me. Did you share it with anybody else?
No, I did not.
Band.
No, the map of alternative rock.
And
I
its
did not.
relationship to each other. Yeah, it's very cool.
Excuse me. Sometimes I cannot get the mic up in time.
It's okay. Doris,
Well, if
we
it makes you
understand
feel
got
better,
the illness.
Doyce, like I would say 20% of the people on my calls are also still in recovery.
Yeah,
From
I don't normally.
the crud.
We've generally been able to fight off that stuff, but not so much.
I mean, even my former boss, who's like never gets sick. I mean, he's the guy that does the mud runs, does the ultra runs, all that other crap. Not
Yeah.
crap, but he's very fit. He does all this stuff. He never gets sick. Even he got sick this last month.
Yeah, that was the toughest thing for me because we do not generally get, the family as a collective group does not generally get sick. Knock on wood. You would think that anything could get, and thankfully the littles hardly ever get sick, which is crazy because they basically live in a petri dish. So
I was gonna say in the germ factory.
yeah, and they are. I actually think Zoe was exposed to the thing that has laid Kate and I low. I couldn't talk last week at all, really, for a while, and I think she actually got exposed to it, and basically it made her throat rough for half a day, and that
Wow.
was it. Like that was like, and then she was like, and I'm done. Her throat was scratchy for a hot minute, and that was it.
Well, here's an example of what having an immune system was like again.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh,
So are we good?
I think so. I am. I feel good. I got a different picture. I found a somewhat closer to what I was thinking of for Kamaka up there. A little bit younger than I was originally putting up there, but kind of the same stuff.
It's Samoan hunk.
Yeah. That tracks.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Yeah, I mean, I was going. You dig around a lot for enough Maui stuff and try to find a good picture. Oh God, there's a couple of guys. If they didn't have the enormous damn hook to make it obviously him, some of the cosplay is freaking amazing for Maui.
Yeah.
There's some really, really cool Maui cosplay. Kind of gets where I'm going. You don't. And then there's people in Samoan, or not Samoan, but like tattoo bodysuits that make me kind of want to punch somebody. So.
Run away.
Problematic. Anyway. I recorded this. I'm probably not. I'll upload it, but I'm going to upload it privately just so I can link it back to Bill so he gets the last 20 minutes or so because I didn't mention ahead of time I was going to. I know I always record, but it's not my game, so I'm just recording it so I have the recording. But I will, since Bill was going to miss part of this, I will kick it up where he can get to it and stuff and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we have everything else.
I think we do.
Cool. In that case, this is kind of this is.
I had no idea that we were going to end up in Hawaii for this.
I mean, or at least in the Pacific Rim area, so the whole area there. That is a blank slate for me.
About as far away from Greece as I can get, which actually I'm not unhappy about.
Can we all appreciate that everybody seemed excited for this?
With like basically no prep whatsoever. I think about some of the times when we've like sat around like slicing dicing games for.
What do you want to play? I don't know. What do you want to play?
It's like, you know what, we're doing this. Okay. As long as somebody picks the restaurant, we can all find something on the menu that's exciting. Thank God for Bill picking the restaurant.
I appreciate that it was a restaurant that all of us were like, yeah.
It wasn't the vegan buffet.
Okay, can I just share though, because we went to this restaurant. I say restaurant. We went to one of our summer. It was the night of New Year's, and we went to the restaurant at one of the hotels around Disney called Goofy's Kitchen, which is Goofy is cooking in the kitchen. That's the premise, and the menu, as such, is, I'm going to say, varied, which is to say literally any comfort food that you might think of in every fucked up combination you can possibly imagine. And it needs to appeal. But I will say this, my kids went back for thirds and they grabbed something different every time. And yeah, there's mac and cheese, but there's also like peanut butter and jelly pizza and creme brulee pizza for dessert and lemon sauce salmon right next to like triple Oreo pie. It's like this weird, but like literally there's, so when you're talking about the restaurant where everybody can go in and get whatever they want, I want some barbecued pork, really, because I want some Greek hero sandwiches and heroes and I want some Mediterranean food and I want some, Egyptian food. We went into the restaurant that Bill picked and grabbed stuff from literally all over the place like it was Goofy's Kitchen because I don't know what a good Norse example would be, but for Mike's guy, but food from
Norse.
all over. Not Norse?
Slavic.
Yeah.
So south of there. South.
And I have to say, I've sort of quickly
East,
grabbed just
very
sort of
east.
something that I thought would be, understandable
Oh, right, yeah.
and
Easy.
easy to do.
You're muted,
You know,
dear.
No, he's not. I hear him.
Am I?
Oh, no,
Oh.
you're just coming through weird on me.
Just by grabbing the Greek stuff. But I'm really impressed that, everybody grabbed pantheons and mythos stuff from around the globe. I mean, including eventually ending up in Hawaii for our spindle. So,
Yeah.
Yay to not everybody taking the easy route.
Yeah. That's good stuff. It's
I,
go ahead.
I considered it, but I was just like, but I could do something with this. And then just looked around for a 3-in-1 god, because those are always interesting.
Just because you didn't want life to be easy.
Honestly, I was primarily, once I knew I was kind of heading the way of the elemental, I like the art that came in the book, which is great. But from there, once I thought, oh, hey, that guy, I like playing that guy. And then flipping him around to kind of fit into the culture was, then it's just research time. And it's a big blank slate for me. Like I said, I've never really done a lot of stuff out there.
Well, I do have some background in pre-modern Japanese religion, which sort of set me off on the Shinto side of things. But I mean, the fact that ties in so well with Hawaii, modern Hawaii is great.
This is gonna be fun. I'm excited. Get to some cool stuff. This might end up being, because Mike's kind of hit or miss for the next, is it 4 weeks?
So next week I'll be in Atlanta. So I might be able to get.
Should I stop recording?
Yeah.
I'll stop recording. Thank you, Bill. We'll stop recording.